Well, hello there trainers, greetings, KuroBlitz here and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to share with you my 10 ideas that I want for Pokemon games in terms of the year of 2024, and I really hope that you guys enjoy it in terms of, story, in terms of world building, in terms of what if scenarios, and also the regions that I'm going to pick for these differentiating, scenarios. So without further ado, let's get this started, shall we? So the first game that I want to bring you, it's basically Gen 10. Yes, it is very unlikely that we are going to have Gen 10 next year because all of the other generations since Black and White, they were 3 years. Even the generations that were 4 years old, Gen 3 and Gen 4, they were meant to be 3 years only. However, I feel like maybe they can do something extremely different because, we already have the story of Paldea essentially over, and we're going to get the epilogue of the DLC with Scarlet and Violet. They could realistically do Gen 10 earlier and basically throw us off guard. They can do it, right next year, because we got, some maps in the Blueberry Academy that we never saw, and those are the Benelux maps, right? And peaches, they were very predominant in these countries, in Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. It would be very interesting if we had a version of a game where we started the Belgium country and the other we start in the Netherlands, and Luxembourg would be, the DLC, or even something around the lines of like a post-game location, like the Keyload City for Kalos, where we had like a battle facility or something around those lines. It would be very off guard, but it would be welcoming because even with the anime and the manga, they are doing their own thing. The anime is not just in Paldea, so Liko, Roy, and Dot can get, a new set of starters with this. There's really nothing prohibiting them. I would actually welcome a Generation 10 because honestly, I'm kind of sick of Paldea, and I feel like even Game Freak and TPCI also are. For Arceus' sake, the DLCs are not even there like Galar was, right? But that's a topic for another time. So with my second option, Scarlet and Violet 2. And this would be set in the Occitania province, which is basically southern of France. So realistically speaking, we would get a sequel to a game that we already know, but it will be in a different region. Think about this for a moment. The regions that are most being talked about are Johto and Unova. Unova had sequels. Johto was a sequel to Red, Green, and Blue. It was called Pocket Monsters 2 back in the day with the demo of 1997. So if we get, a different story, or a continuation of the story, but it's in a different region, I would actually welcome that. Imagine that, we get, for example, the Paldea starters. We still get the Paldea starters, but they evolve differently into Kalosian forms. Heck, this South Kalos might be South Kalos back then during the time of X and Y, but now it might become independent, like how Sevi Islands is from Kanto and the Battle Zone is from Sinnoh. They would still share a route system, and I think it would be welcoming to, going back to routes in some way. Maybe the professor who gives you the starter is the professor, who left the other Arven parents. So in Pokemon Scarlet 2, Turo would give you the starters, and in Pokemon Violet 2, it would be Sada. I would welcome this. It would basically, we get a new region, a new set of starters, but it's still within the same generation, and I feel like this would be very welcoming, because Legends Arceus is about the past, and Scarlet and Violet is about the present, but tackles the past and the future, so I feel like we should need a game that tackles the future, either this or something else. As for topic number 3, a Legends Paldea. And I know this is very difficult to grasp, but we have a lot of lore in Paldea in terms of the classes, in terms of history and whatever more, but it's never really fully tackled. We get the ruinous treasures in a way, and they embed all of the Chinese elements except for metal. Maybe we get like a Diancie situation with Goldango. Heck, we can get like a fire musketeer because that should also realistically exist, right? It will be the Enamorous of, this region to, complete everything. And maybe the Ruinous Quartet before the fallen of the Paldean Empire, maybe all of the watchtowers and everything that we see in the region all in disarray. Maybe the region is open world because these legends basically destroyed all of the routes, sorry. Maybe Paldea was a route region like everything else, and the Ruinous Quartet basically destroy it, and it's our job to basically seal them. It would be a difference, like it would be like a Pokemon Colosseum situation where you capture them and you keep them, but realistically you are saving them. Maybe it's something like that. You are capturing them, but you would have to seal them away because they are extremely powerful. Maybe we can see, how the Herba Mystica came to be. if you want a fifth ruinous treasure, like a fifth titan, you can basically, give Bombardier an evolution from way back then, and it's not even accessible now anymore. As for number 4, let's go Johto. Specifically, let's go Raikou and let's go Entei, because Raikou and Entei are Pokemon who have the types of, not the types, but like the ability effects of, Miraidon and Koraidon, electricity and sunlight. So these would be extremely fitting, and since it's a Let's Go Johto, maybe we will meet characters like in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and they are already went on their journey. So we would not be playing as, Chris or Lyra. We would meet both of them, like how we do in Masters EX. We can still play as Gold, and Silver needs to be the rival. This would be the thing that cannot change, but maybe Silver in this timeline actually becomes the leader of Team Rocket, succeeding where his father couldn't. And maybe instead of, a Crobat, because it's a very basic standard Pokemon, maybe instead of stealing a starter, he would steal the Togepi egg, and the Togepi egg would basically become a Togetic because of friendship, but it become, something more. Maybe it's like the beta version of, Togekiss. Go check it out. Maybe Silver could have a Togehiss or something around those lines. And I think it would be very cool to, continue the Let's Go story, so we see familiar elements, but they are told in a different paradoxical way. Heck, if you have your Let's Go Pikachu Eevee save file, and you go to Mount Silver to battle, Chase or Elaine, it would not be Red, it would be Chase or Elaine, they would have your Hall of Fame team. Kind of a bummer they didn't do that with Fire Red and Leaf Green, because you had the cartridge there, but that's besides the point. Number 5, and I feel like everyone kind of wants this, it's a Legends Celebi, and I really do understand why. Like, it's very safe, right, to do a Legends Celebi. Maybe do something with, the beasts from back then. Use a Colosseum and Gale of Darkness plot where Celebi has to, purify all of these birds. We could see the towers being burned and whatever. And since this happens in the 1850s, it will be a prequel to Legends Arceus. Maybe we see Kamado and Benny seeing the Lake of Rage city now becoming the Lake of Rage landmark. We would see all of that destruction. And maybe we see several clans. In Cyanwood, we have the embedded tower of Rayquaza. We could see the Draconids there from the Hoenn people. We could see people who praise Slowpoke in Azalea because of the rain. Our hub would be Ecruteak City because it's the obvious choice, right? Maybe we see, the Blackthorn, with the Dragon's Den. We would see, I feel like we could see a lot of clans. Not really Gold and Silver. I would advocate for, maybe Jade and Bronze, because those are also metals that are not really present, right? I feel like Jade and Bronze will be, cool clans, like the Diamond and Pearl one, but I don't feel like they would be called clans. I feel like they would be called tribes, and these tribes, they would see Ho-Ho as a divine god and Lugia as a beast of the sea, like an abyssal beast. And honestly, I feel like Ho-Ho and Lugia are long due to having new forms, so I feel like maybe this Ho-Ho could become like Fire Fairy, or lose the fire and becomes Ground Fairy, like a divine turkey, and Lugia could become, Psychic Dragon, or, Water Dragon. Basically, they are birds who discard the flying type, because the flying type is always more of an accessory than an actual type, and I would like for them to, to become this creature, this god, these pocket monsters. So there's that. Now, entry number 6, the faithful remake of Johto. However, the twist would be that it would be in the Game Boy Color graphics, but with an updated look, like Octopath Traveler, like a 2.5D situation. So, because the Switch is always being experimental, think about it. Let's Go, Sword and Shield, BDSP, Legends, Scarlet and Violet, all of these games, they don't look the same. They don't. They simply don't. Even the spin-offs, right? Mystery Dungeon DX, Pokken DX, Snap 2, and Detective Pikachu Returns, they don't look the same. The Switch is the experimental console. They're throwing ideas off the wall. So if they do a Faithful Johto in this style, I feel like people would be okay with it. It will make sense because Gold and Silver will turn 25. So the Legend Celebi from prior will be, for the next year, maybe in winter, we will also turn 25 for like Crystal. They will never do something lore related with Unknown. We will not have a Legends Unknown. They don't know how to utilize that hidden power Pokemon. When it comes to the names for this, I like the idea of we have Gold and Silver, GS. So imagine if we get, a palindrome, SG, GS. Sparkling Gold and Glistening Silver. Pokemon Sparkling Gold, Pokemon Glistening Silver. This would be absolutely amazing. Think about all the other remakes. Fire Red and Leaf Green, Fire and Leaf Nature, Hoenn. Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Heart Soul, Emotion, the Lake Trio of Sinnoh. Omega Alpha of Ruby and Sapphire, letters like X and Y. Let's Go, it's its own thing. But Pokemon Go is from Gen 6, 7, it's like a cross mobile game. Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Brilliant Shining, like the Wishing Stars of Galar. And now, with Glistening Gold and Sparkling Silver, Sparkling Gold, Glistening Silver, from the bike of, the DLC of Isle of Armor, right? Sparkling Gold, Glistening Silver. Sparkling, glistening, like the crystals of Area Zero with the Terrapagos. This would be absolutely amazing. So that's my idea number 6. Idea number 7, we are now starting to follow Unova. It will make more sense for Johto to be remade before Unova because, it's the region that we haven't visited the longest, and it's the one region that besides Unova it's not adhered to the fairy type yet. I feel like maybe Whitney, the third gym leader, she would still have Miltank. For the other game, I feel like maybe depending on the version, she would have, instead of Clefairy, because the gym needs to be redesigned, because it's not a normal type anymore, that Pokemon would have to be Teddiursa for one version and Apom for the other because of official artwork. But enough of Johto, Unova. That's where it's in the image. Black and White 3. It's my option number 7. And I feel like maybe the DLC of the Blueberry Academy of the Indigo Disc can be hints to prepare us for the sequel because of the nostalgia that we now have. But it could also be a misdirect. And if it's a sequel, we need to see the original dragon in some way, shape, or form. However, I doubt that we are going to see, Team Plasma again. Give us a new original team, like how the anime is doing for the Explorers. I mean, Ametio's hair is black and white. He's working for someone else, like how Anne did for Ghetsis. And even Hamburg, the Dust Noir dude, has gray color in terms of the hair. I think this would be very interesting. Because in the end of the day, Team Plasma, they were explorers. They were Templars and then they were Corsairs, right? They explored the region and, they always try to get relics and whatever. So this kind of works, right? And maybe throw like some paradoxes here and there, like for the post-game. And maybe the characters of the DLC are now gym leaders here. So maybe like, for example, Charon is now an Elite 4 because Grimsley retired. And maybe Roxy's on tour and we see, Crispin being a fire gym leader of, Verbank. And maybe Lacey takes over her dad as the gym leader, so we have like the first fairy gym leader of Unova. I think that would be pretty cool. Same with Drayton for Drayden. Amaris is from Castilia. There is no indicator that she is the daughter of Lenora and Hoss from Nakreen City. But you can make her the spiritual successor and put the Nakreen gym active again. And the basic badge, instead of giving to normal mons, you give it to, Steel this time around. Or maybe she has like a Steel Terra Watchog or something around those lines. You decide. You decide. Number 8. The Fateful remake for Unova. And these I'm going to call them Pokemon Pitch Black and Pokemon Stark White. Basically the epitome of those shades of colors, right? Pitch Black, Stark White. They are the blackest and the whitest that you can imagine. And since this is a remake set in another universe, remakes tend to not have the facilities in their entirety. Auras didn't have the Battle Frontier of Emerald. PDSP only had the Battle Tower of DP, not the Battle Frontier of Platinum. So for this one, we would not have the Battle Subway. And I feel like that could be an interesting case because we will see Emmet. Maybe we have like a plot with Emmet in this time. it will be faithful in some ways, because I feel like it will be faithful until the post game. In the post game, you either have DLC where you explore the southwest of Unova in one part, and you would explore, the northeast of Unova in another part, because they are the black and white 2 cities, and this will be the Paradox Unova, because Unova is told in 2 stories. So this will be the game where the story is all told in one. Instead of the time skip being 2 years, it will be 2 months. There are fanfics who do this. I don't think like Pokemon has no problems in doing this whatsoever, because they are very obviously doing some anachronicities in terms of the timeline. They never really cared about it. And it would be cool, like helping Emmett. Maybe we find like what happened to Ingo. I mean, we know what happened to Ingo, but maybe we can make Ingo return in some way, shape, or form. And maybe we could, for example, you from Black and White 2, he could be our Kieran, or he could be our Buck from Stark Mountain, right, from Pokemon Sinnoh. And speaking of Pokemon Sinnoh, Looker. We help Looker harass the Sages, but we don't help Looker to arrest the Shadow Triad. The Shadow Triad released Ghetsis from jail. They bailed them out. Those ninjas bailed them out. So we need for the post-game to disable the possibility of the sequel events of the game happening, at least 2 years from now. Maybe we have Colress in the DLC. Think about this for a moment. Buying 2 games that were $45 each back then equates to today buying 1 game that is $60 with $30 of DLC. The sequel will be the DLC. You would still buy it. It would just be on the same file. But yeah. Now, option number 9. Let's go Unova. I know that a lot of people don't like this. I liked it. Unova has 156 Pokemon. So if you use like Basculegion, King Gambit, and maybe give like a new monkey, the monkey that does no evil, right? Because we have Pansage, Pansear, Pampor of see, speak, and hear no evil, right? Not respectively, of course. But have a new monkey be, the Melt and Melmetal for this. Have a Fire Musketeer be, the Enamorous for this, right? I think it would be cool. I think it would be very amazing, by the way. But yeah, like, do that. I don't know what could be the Mons. If it's a Let's Go Unova, N will probably have a Zorua all the time, and maybe it will be like a Hisuian. Oh, that's the thing. If you use the Paradox Beasts from Scarlet and Violet and you bring them, you could recreate the event of Zoroark from movie 13, but it would be like a Blood Moon Zoroark, because it would not make sense to be a Hisuian one, because it's already very repetitive. The Pokemon that I picked here are Pokemon that Bianca had, especially because Minccino and Muna, they are very associated with, it's the Grey Chinchilla, it's the Pikachu, not Emolga. Emolga is not the Pikachu of Unova. It's Minccino, sorry. And Muna is tied with a Dream World, and they evolve with stones, so maybe these are very powerful, and they don't need the stones to evolve, and maybe they will get, partner moves, right? And just like how with Let's Go Johto, you would meet both Chris and Lyra. In this one, you play as another girl, and you would meet both Hilda and Rosa, or if you play as a new guy, you meet both Hilbert and Nate, right? Maybe that could be an idea. I don't know. I feel like a Let's Go Unova could also, because Unova was the new Kanto back then. So they could utilize this in some way, shape, or form. Let's see. For final option, I do have the Legends Unova game. And this Legends Unova game could be either Victini and or Genesect, because they are Scarlet and Violet colors. Victini could be in the past. I thought about Legends Meloetta, but now that Meloetta is in the DLC, not a chance. And it will be something new for Game Freak to do. You, instead of doing one Legends game, you do 2. You do a dual release Legends game. One set in the past, that's Victini. One set in the future, that's Genesect. And Legends Genesect kind of works, because think about this for a moment. In Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Ghetsis comes from a timeline where he won, so there were no events of Black and White 2. So Hilbert and Hilda failed. In the actual canon, they never return. We never know why. Maybe they became a faller and they are on Legends Victini. If it's Legends Genesect, you would play as Nate and Rosa, So it's black and white 2, 2. Because you are on an apocalyptic event, you see Genesects with more drives than those that they had before, patrolling the cities. They will be your totems, nobles, titans, whatever. And the drives could give them, new Terra State forms, like how Ogrepon's masks do. Can you imagine like a Legends Genesect where all the bosses are Genesects, but they are all different? I just think it would be very cool. And you could see some anachronicities. I don't know if it's the proper word. I'm so sorry. Like time displacements. There you go. Depending on the past and the future, I think it would be very great because we already have that with a polluted city, and of course the Black City and White Forest. Maybe in this timeline it's one. Maybe Black City and White Forest are one. They are called Lost Lorn Village or something, or Grey Metropolis, whatever you guys prefer. But yeah, these are the games that I want to see in 2024, or at least something. I want something new, something creative. Realistically, I would like for to us to have a gap year, but that's not how the gaming industry works nowadays. But yeah. So that's there, trainers. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in another time. KuroBlitz out.